and I think Shorty is next on our agenda for the court case that he's talking about bringing before our court here. Shorty, would you like to present a brief outline of the case that you're considering bringing before our court to us here? Shorty?
Sure. This is Shorty from St. Louis. We are the rebel rousers of the courts. And I love beating up on judges, lawyers, and prosecutors. In this case, it's out of Morgan County, Alabama. They kidnapped a girl. They gave it to the interveners. The interveners are the grandparent, the grandfather, and the step-grandmother. And then you have the grandmother from the mother-in-law. And so they took the kids. The state gave them custody of the kids, and they're floating back and forth. And my second initiation into this was to vacate all the judge's orders and recuse the judge. And so that was accomplished. And they gave us another judge, and so we got a new case number. And that case number is a party invite. So you're invited in to conversate with them. And so my first initiation in this with the new judge, I put 22 briefs before the court. The articles of fraud, the counterclaim, and 21 count indictment, along with other stuff, to educate them, to let the judge know that we're number one and they're number two. And so the judge is yet to respond to anything, and the clerk is saying they don't want to talk until May the 25th. And in the process, they kidnapped the kid. They took the kid and put the kid in custody of the grandparents. They trafficked him across state line into Tennessee out of Morgan County, Alabama. And so my client had to travel 2.5 hours one way. She was in a women's safe house, battered safe house. Then I moved her from there to another safe location, which was her daughter and stepson, or daughter and son-in-law. And she was there for a while. And so I started doing what they were doing by pointing guns at me, by pointing guns at them through my paperwork. And so my idea was to get the sheriff arrested and the judge arrested. And the judge is in Alabama, the sheriff is down in Tennessee. There's 2 arrest warrants for this wicked step-grandparent. And so that's in Alabama. She's in Tennessee, but the sheriff in Tennessee is reluctant to talk to the sheriff in Alabama. And so that being the case, you can have an arrest warrant, but you don't have a pickup. And so I issued an extensive background check through 2 papers before the court that included known associates of both grandparents, which are pedophiles. And this was two columns of people that I asked the judge to do an extensive background check on. And so then we went and asked the judge to do an extensive background check on the father's side of the family. And the father is a drug dealer and a gun runner. And so all these people that we've listed are on the background registry. And we talked about getting an investigator, and I got one out of Indiana, one in North Carolina, and one in Georgia. And they did the checks for me, and they came up with all these people that had criminal backgrounds, that they're allowed, that this kid is allowed by the state to be a part of their life. And it's a horrible case. And right now, the mother is in an unknown safe house in another state right now. Once it got out of my hand, it went from 6 bubbles below the radar to 7. So right now, all I know is that she's supposedly safe. She has a live-in nurse's assistant job and a car to get around in and other things. Things are being taken care of, but she still doesn't have her kid. and no one will deal with the kidnapping charges. And so I don't know. You know, we got the 21 count indictment in front of them, and we got the articles of fraud upon the court in there, and then we have the counterclaim in there. But they don't want to hear anything until May, and by then they're going to permanently make this kidnapping a permanent thing. In other words, where the grandparents can continue to have it. They want to bill the mother for $400 a month to pay the grandparents while they are holding the kid hostage, and then they want her to pay $60 every time that there's a visitation. Then they had a secret ex parte meeting that says no more visitations. So we have not seen the kid since December. I yield.
Thank you, Shorty. Brother Paul, you got any comments? Gary, anybody?
Shorty, I have a question. Have you looked at a federal jurisdiction in this matter?
Well, no, not really. I mean, I haven't taken it to that level. Right now, I got a court date of May the 24th or 25th, you know.
Okay. Well, when they move a child across state, let me ask you this. Is there any allegation of immoral conduct involving the children or the
Here's the petition. The petition was that the social worker lied and said the mother was living in a storage unit and was possibly on drugs. They came to the storage unit, the stormtroopers did, and beat her up and kidnapped her and put her in the back of a squad car, held her there, and they had the drug-sniffing dogs looking through her storage unit and tearing up everything. She was doing uploads on the internet of things that she had for sale, and so she was making her living by using that storage unit. And they did a drug test right then and there, and it was negative. And they did 2 other drug tests, surprise drug tests at the court, and they were negative. And they never produced any evidence to prove what days and what times and how many times the mother was living in the storage unit. But the mother put their landlord on the phone with the caseworker, and the caseworker is like, well, how do we know you're telling the truth? You could be any old Joe. And so they refused to hear the truth. The truth was that she had friends that she was staying with, and there were times that she allowed the grandmother from her side of the family to take the kid for a day or two. And so all of this is a bunch of hogwash. You know, what they tried to produce, they didn't produce, and they just said, we're going to take your kid, and that's it. Good. Have a nice day. And
well,
that's the way that it's been.
All right. Now, you see, Shorty, the taking of the drug screens, all 3 of them, were done apparently without a court order. And that is a violation, even though the results are completely exculpatory to her. In other words, they're to her benefit, but they were still...
Are you talking about a Fifth Amendment violation?
The 4th, illegal search and seizure. And that, under the Supreme Court decision, that was an actual injury to her. So she has standing now to bring a 1983 and 1988 action, not only against the officers, but against the counties. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there for your information.
Are you talking about trespass on the case?
I'm sorry. Am I talking what?
About trespass on the case? Common law?
Yeah, they
common law procedure.
On her person. I'm not talking about trespass upon the case in a court. I'm just saying that this whole court case could be transferred now that you've got illegal search and seizure. You've got standing now to take this case back into take it over into a United States District Court and get it out of the state courts where you
well,
have corrupt sheriff.
Well, I'm looking for some ideas, you know.
Okay.
With the 21 count indictment, we got perjury on the first and second degree, and perjury and false statements, inconsistent with false statements, first and second degree, intent to defraud, forgery in the first and second degree, false swearing, false reporting, making the false certification, official misconduct, malice prosecution. Go ahead.
Are the grandparents involved in any of that?
Well, see, you have the father. Okay, the father is the mother's father, which is the little girl's grandfather. The little girl is 5 years old. Her sister is 18 going on 19 with a 6-month-old. And then she's got a brother that is 20 years old. The mother is 40. And so the mother, her father, and her stepmother intervened in there and just went and kidnapped the kid. And they paid the state to comply with this. And she didn't know me until November, and the kidnapping happened back in July. And so
they carried the child across the state line.
Well, they do. They did. They live in Tennessee, but they came to Alabama, you know, which is about a 40 to 50 minute drive from where they live.
Okay.
Now I've asked the judge to do an extensive background check based on my investigators' report back to me, which gave me 2 columns of pedophiles and their names and their addresses, and I ordered the judge to do an extensive background check on it. And then I ordered the judge to do extensive background check upon 1 column of people that are affiliated to the father. This is her ex. And so between those 2 lists and the check, if my investigators can find it within, 35 to 45 minutes of all these people, then the state can do the same. And if the child's in danger because of that background investigation, they need to step in there and allow the order. See, I issued an order to the sheriff in Tennessee to do a pickup. I had a pickup order signed by the mother with the common law courts of record seal up on there. And that's an official document from me to them. And they need to cooperate, but they don't want to cooperate. And so I came after them and was trying to put together an arrest warrant for them. But to get a sheriff to cooperate to arrest another sheriff and a judge is very hard to do in these days sometimes.
Well, yeah, it may be, but it's not for the feds. And
you're right. The feds are probably the way to go. So if you can connect with Charles after the program and get my number, then you're welcome to communicate with me, and I'll put you on the team as one of the team members there with the Seeking Justice Resource Community.
God bless you, young man. I appreciate the offer, but right now, my cup literally runneth over, and will be until probably week after next. But I will try to get in touch with you about that.
Oh, okay. Well, when and if you do, then we'll work together, because I'm easy to get along with. You know what I mean? I got an understanding of, I've been studying common law, courts of record, and organic law for 21 years.
Okay, good.
And so I got a real good handle on it. I don't present anything to the court except for orders.
Yes, sir.
Everything I put in there is an order. It's not a motion.
Understood.
It's a notice of a motion plus the order. In other words, notice motion means I want to be heard.
Yep.
Can I jump in there a little bit, fellas?
Sure.
Thank you. I'd like to paint a little bit broader picture of Shorty. He's kind of new to our group. Excuse me. Shorty has done some studying under one of the most advanced common law scholars in the nation, a fella out of Southern California, I believe. Shorty, what was that guy's name?
Bill Thornton.
Bill Thornton, yes. Bill Thornton has a very powerful... Pardon me?
Ed Riviera.
Well, Bill Thornton's the more powerful of the two, I do believe. And you've studied diligently under Mr. Thornton's methodology, and that's very powerful methodology. And I do believe you're probably running them up a tree with your paperwork there, Shorty. But like I think you're coming to realize, it all gets down to enforcement, and the best paperwork in the world won't do anything when the bad guys circle the wagons and decide that you ain't getting through no matter what kind of cutting-edge paperwork you throw at them. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. But like I say, it's hard to be humble when you own a 50 caliber.
Well, but your paperwork ain't 50 caliber. 50 caliber is machinery, and your paperwork ain't machinery. And it'd be advisable to not talk in terms of those enforcement issues when we're trying to avoid getting thrown in jail. I would dare suggest, because we're just paperwork. We're not enforcing anything yet. We'll let them know real clear when we're talking about bringing out the 50 calibers. But Gary Bergman has been waiting patiently. He's got a real interesting presentation that I'd like for him to have some time left before the conclusion of our 2-hour meeting here. Is there anything else, Shorty, that you'd like to add on presenting your case before our court here?
Well, the thing of it is that the bottom line to everything that I'm doing out of Morgan County happens to be under mob action. And I put together a page called Mob Action Exposed CPS Cases. Slow.
I thought I heard that word before, and the word before action, it sounds like mob. Is that what you're saying, or can you explain it better?
Yeah, it's mob, M-O-B, action. Mob Action Exposed.
Oh, you're exposing the mob. You're not a mob yourself, right?
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I would the first 3 times I heard you say it there, it sounded like you're labeling yourself as a mob, and I would dare suggest that you need to do that word exposed way more frequently to make it idiot-proof for people that you're not claiming to be a mob here.
No.
We got it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch up before we go ahead and proceed to our next agenda item with Gary Bergman here making his presentation?
Well, just keep this case. Everly Mays is the 5-year-old. Everly Mays. Keep her in prayer. That's all we can do at this point.
That's her name, Everly Mays?
Averly, Averlie. Everly Mays.
Can you spell the last name?
M-A-Z-E.
Okay. Thank you, Shorty. Thank you very much, and we will pray for the victimized woman that you're working with also. But proceeding on with our agenda here.